Tell us about you and your journey that brought you to Bhutan.
In fact, nothing predestined me to be coming to Bhutan because I grew up in the Congo in Africa, where my parents were living. So I had no connection as such with Asia, but I was very interested in Asia since I was very small. I don't know why. And then I started traveling when I was a student. I started traveling in Asia, especially in the Himalayan region. And I was studying classical Tibetan and history in France. And then I really found this culture, Himalayan culture, so interesting. So I decided to pursue that. And by chance, by real chance and blessing, I met somebody who was very influential in getting me here to work for the Department of Tourism at that time.
So when did you first visit Bhutan?
The first visit was with a tourist group because when I was a student, I was taking tourist group to make a living, and I came in '79, in March '79. That was the first time. And then I came back in February 1981.
You are actually from France, and
I'm from France.
You grew up in Congo?
Yes.
So when you first came to Bhutan in 1979, what were your observations?
It was very rural, hardly developed. Of course, there was no internet or nothing like that. There was no plane, so we came by road from Coronation Bridge down in Siliguri side. And it was very difficult, of course, but I just found the whole country so harmonious. But of course, this was a kind of fancy view of Bhutan, which, of course, I still believe the country is very harmonious, but I see there are also some problems. Like in all society, Bhutan is not the perfect society. So it was the first thing, the landscape, the architecture, people, everything was so harmonious.
I also interviewed Sir Michael Rutland.
Yes.
And he was mentioning that when he first visited Bhutan, he felt something magical. Did you have similar experiences as well?
I felt something. I had been all over the Himalayas already, but when I came to Bhutan and when I arrived, from Punsoling, the road till here, I felt something was like gripping me. I had found some kinds of roots, if it's not an exaggeration.
During 1970s, how difficult was it to travel within Bhutan?
So I came really in the 1980s to travel. In the 79, we couldn't go further than Punakha as tourists. And the road was not made, of course. And after the 80s, I traveled a lot along the main highway. What is the main highway? Shun Lam. And, but I walked a lot. Everywhere I wanted to go, I had to walk. So I've been crossing this country a lot on walking, and yeah. It was difficult because there was no shop, not hotels, you had to stay with people. At that time also, there was no real money. Money had come, but it had no value in isolated place. So when you travel, you had to take all your rice and exchange, barter, because that's what people wanted.
You have studied Asia.
Yes.
And have written various books on Asia and Bhutan as well.
Yes.
What motivated your interest in Asia, especially Bhutan?
I have no idea. It was like that, and when I came first time to Asia, I was still a student, first year student in a college, and I went to Nepal, and then I went to Ladakh for my MAs, and I traveled also to Tibet. It was just the culture. I don't know. I felt a kind of affinity with the people, but maybe it's all in my head.
Why is culture important universally for humanity?
Oh, I cannot, for me, culture is a basis of the human being. because in culture I also include moral, ethics, all these components, not only food, clothes, language. I also include moral and ethics and religion. And there is no better people who have said it, what is culture, than the great Tibetan master Sakya Pandita. He said, if people don't have culture or don't know their roots, where they come from, they are like monkeys in the forest. If we don't have culture, we can be replaced by robot. If it is mechanical, even you could be replaced in a way to do the interview by a robot, a lady robot. I know it's coming, but culture and interest and intelligence and ability to criticize and to work with your own background, your own cultural background, is what makes the human being unique. And that's why I think culture is so important, and I'm quite depressed when I see in many parts of the world that culture is being replaced by some immediate gain, or people, human beings think that because they have progress in technology, they are the greatest. No, technology is great, of course, but if they don't have culture, they are just robots.
Do you feel there's a strong connection between culture and identity?
Oh, of course, of course. Culture and identity are together. Take my own example. I was brought up in the Congo, so very close to African, but I never felt my identity was there. I was brought up as a French girl, and I'm still, after all this year, I'm still very strongly French in many ways. But I have also adopted Bhutanese culture completely, and I think I have a double identity in a way, which is very interesting, because sometimes I wonder where I am, you know. But yes, culture is the basis of your identity. If you for example, for Bhutanese, it's not only the clothes, but the way of behaving, you know, the beja or jiglamlemcha, as they call it. It's unique, and I can immediately make out, even if I'm abroad, I can make out a Bhutanese by the way the person behaves, you know. So it is included in the identity.
You are popularly known as Amtashom
Yes.
in Bhutan.
Yes.
So how did you get this name?
Oh, it was very simple. I was so innocent. I didn't know anything, and I guess I'm blessed somehow, because I met a lot of high Rinpoche, but I never realized how high they were till I came and lived here. So in Delhi, when I was in Delhi, I had the fortune to meet Dingo Khyentse Rinpoche, Agye Khyentse as we. And he looked at me and he said, "You are Tashi Wambo." That's how I got it. And I didn't know. Also, of course, his name is Tashi. So he tends to give people his own name. But at the same time, I think it's a wonderful name.
It's a beautiful name.
It's a beautiful name, yes.
And talking about culture,
Yes.
your personal observations, how do you feel Bhutan has changed culturally over the years?
Of course, of course. If a culture remains static, doesn't change, it's going to die, because a culture has to go with the flow of modernity and all. But that doesn't mean culture doesn't exist. So I may surprise you, but I feel right now, for several reasons, there is more cultural awareness in Bhutan than there were when I came in the 80s. It might be paradoxal, because everybody say, "Oh no, we are losing our culture, blah blah." I don't agree with that, because when I came in the 80s, first of all, it was just when Bhutan was opening. So people were really interested in outside. They had not yet realized the value of what they had. And just to take a simple example, everybody was in pants, okay? Everybody spoke Nepali or Hindi.
Right.
All the songs on the radio was, or in the cars were Nepali or Hindi. So when they said Dzongkha has gone down, no, I don't agree at all with that. Maybe in writing, I don't know, but in speaking, BBS, radio, movie, they have done so much for the promotion of the language, okay? So, and also promotion of the other languages of Bhutan, like Bumtanka, Sachopka, Nepali, who are different from Dzongkha, but who are so important for the identity of the people. So this is the culture of Bhutan, the multilinguistic, the wealth. Bhutan has a wealth of languages which are integral part of its own culture, and it should be preserved. And I feel culture is really a cultural awareness, at least. It's so much better now. For example, of course people have tough time in the village to conduct charms because there is not enough young people staying. At the same time, they are so much more aware of the interesting thing in their own village. And I'll give you an example. When I came, I was interested in culture, of course, anthropology, you know. So I was always looking for, and people were saying, why are you looking at these old things? It has no interest. Now, and also thanks to the BBS carrying programs on culture and all this, there is more, and government efforts, of course, but there is more awareness. People really are proud of their culture, of their traditions in their own village. They want people to know it. And when I'm going in the village with my colleagues from College of Language and Culture, it is so interesting because people say, oh, you have done a program or you have been going to that village. Why don't you come to our village also? We have also very interesting things. 40 years ago, nobody would have bothered. So that's very important. There is more cultural awareness. Another interesting thing I found, people say, oh, now everybody is in town, so the village are dying and all. But recently, I went to a wonderful community ritual called Achelamo at the Sando Paris. That was 2 weeks ago in Thimphu. And that was the community of Laori in southeast Bhutan, who have this tradition of Achelamo. And because so many are there here, they are doing it here. So they did it for 2 days in Thimphu. And I thought this was a wonderful revitalization of the culture.
Very few outsiders have known Bhutan intimately as you have known. So do you feel Bhutan is a unique country and has an identity of its own?
Oh, definitely. But first of all, I would like to say, maybe I know a little bit about Bhutan, but every day I spend in this country, I learn something. So Bhutan never ceases to teach me something. That's the beauty of it. And of course, it has its total identity, be it the language, the food, the clothes, but also the way the people practice religion. It is the moral, and what I found also, it has really a unique identity. And one of the reasons, of course, is because it has always been independent. So it could keep this kind of identity, which makes it very, very unique. And also Bhutan, we have different regions. The west is quite different from central, from the east. So each region, and the south, each region has its own identity, but it is blended together, especially since the 70s, at its own, because there has been so much importance given to identity that as a state, as a nation. So now there is a real Bhutanese identity. Unique country, certainly Bhutan is a unique country. Because first of all, it is one of the very few countries in the world which has not been colonized by great powers, number one. Number two, it has an harmony which is promoted by the monarchy as well as by the government between the people, the way of living, the development, the landscape. The landscape is incredibly harmonious in Bhutan. Well, I'm not speaking about some new towns, but the landscape, and that's why UNESCO says that Bhutan could be a cultural landscape by itself, because it's so beautiful, harmonious. And so it is unique. The people are unique because they still carry, maybe you will be surprised, but I still believe they carry some of the values, kindness, compassion, and care for others. Not all, it's not perfect, but yes, yes. And also, why is it unique? It's because I think that's the only country in the world where monarchy has been the factor of change and development from the first king. So it is a unique country. And it is very amazing when you go abroad in some other Himalayan country, like in Tibet, in Mustang in Nepal, which has about the same culture, and you wear kira, people immediately identify you. They say, oh, Drukpa, Drukpa. And then they come and they tell you how much they admire Bhutan, how lucky Bhutan is. And that's what people here maybe don't realize, how lucky they have been. They got democracy, they got vote without any fight, without any problem, any blood spilling, any revolution, all because of the king. And I'm going from the first king only, because he had the far-sight vision to be good and friendly with the British, at the same time keeping them out. So that was really important. Yeah.
And being honored with Bhutanese citizenship by His Majesty the King, do you feel it has changed you and your life?
Oh yes, yes. First of all, it was like fantastic. I waited for some time because I went through the proper channel, but it is wonderful. I feel so happy, and it's a great honor. I'm privileged, I know that, because I can get more. I feel it giving me a sort of legitimacy to be involved in the life of the people, to be alive in the life of the country. And I am a member now of some CSOs here. I'm very proud of that. And it is I can speak with my students or my colleagues have a little bit changed their mind, and they are very proud. And when we travel, first thing they'll say is, oh, now you know she's a Drup. They will tell the people. I am very honored. It has changed my life for the better. Yes, yes. I don't own anything, because that's my philosophy, not to own anything. But it really changed my life and made my life so much easier, because I can really dedicate my life to Bhutan now without worrying about visa, renewal, the whole thing, you know. So it's much easier.
In your view, how significant is 17th of December for Bhutanese?
For me, that's the most important of course it's a national holiday, national day, so it is the most important. Without religious festival, besides a religious festival, the 17th of December is the most important time of the Bhutanese calendar. Or why? Of course it's a national day. And why is it a national day? Because it is a day where Gongsa Ugyen Wangchuk became the first king of Bhutan in Punakha. But when people say that, I think they miss a little bit of the culture in that. He was elected and chosen by all the governors, the Dzongpen, the Penlops, and so on, of Bhutan. They signed a pledge of allegiance, which gives a lot of weight to this event. It's not like Ugyen Wangchuk decided to go and be a king. No, it was consensual. And because of this pledge, the king had duty for the people, and the people have duty to the kings. So I feel this pledge and this 17 December is also the renewing of the pledge between the people of Bhutan and the monarchy. So it's a very important time, yes.
And as a cultural anthropologist yourself, your concerns for Bhutan?
I'm not a sociologist, so the problem is I don't have hard figures to give you now also. And it is a very personal view which might not be accepted by everybody or consensual. My first concern for Bhutan will be, of course, the unemployment. But recently there has been a lot of improvement on that front in many ways, with some people returning to the farm. For me, agriculture is the future of Bhutan. There is no other future of Bhutan. So unemployment, maybe we should have proper agricultural colleges, which we really don't have right now. We have Siena, but it's not agriculture. So things like that. Bhutan is blessed with bountiful agriculture products, and it could do well more in doing more now and employing more people. The other thing is climate change. Climate change is for me the most important event, future event or present event in Bhutan, because we don't know how the water will be, we don't know if it will be too hot, what to cultivate, and all this. So climate change is the number one problem or issue, if you want, that Bhutan should tackle as soon as possible. And of course, they are doing it. I know UN, the government, the disaster management, all these are doing. But when I think of the lake up there, I get so scared because I saw a glove here, I mean Punakha here, so I know how it is, and it's very, very scary. So that's all. But for the young people, I would like to say, you live in a great country. I'm not saying you live in a Shangri-La, because I don't accept that. You don't live in a perfect country, for sure, because humans are humans. Otherwise, we will all be Chanchup Sempa. Huh? So humans are humans, but you have definitely a unique country. You have to be proud of it and carry on the tradition, even if you have to change them a little bit. For example, you don't use butter for the butter lamp, you use dalda or something else, it's okay. And for the prayer flags, replace the food by bamboo pole if you can, it's more ecological, but please be proud of your country.
That's beautiful. And as we end the program, your message for our viewers.
There is one point I would like to make for the young people, for everybody in fact. My friends, and know I come from a very simple family. And I worked, I studied to learn and to become a professor, and so it was not easy. But also because I come from a simple family, my parents, especially my father, doesn't speak English at all, okay? And I get very upset when I hear some Bhutanese people saying, oh, my father is uneducated, he doesn't speak English. Sorry, my father is educated. He speaks French, he writes, he knows everything. And I don't consider him uneducated. And I think Bhutanese who say that have not understood that their parents are educated. Maybe more than them, because if we put these young kids in the forest, they won't be able to survive. So be proud of your parents, even if they don't speak English. They have another culture, that's all. English is not the end of the world.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for BBS, and I feel again very privileged and honored to have been chosen to be interviewed for this program. Thank you very much.